All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of the Dharma Digs podcast, a podcast in pursuit of purposeful living. I'm your host, Taylor Winchester, also known as TW, and I appreciate you being here. It's a real honor to be here with you today, and I am grateful that you have taken a little bit of time out of your day to stop by and tune into this podcast. So yeah, thank you. All right, let's get started. Episode 1, this is going to be a relatively quick introduction both to myself from a personal and professional background, in case you're not familiar with who I am, but also really to introduce this concept of Dharma Digs. So I'll start with telling you a little bit about myself. That way you have a little bit of a context of my background and how I led to this point, and then I'll share with you a little bit more about the concept of Dharma Digs and what you can expect on some future episodes. So once again, I introduced myself. I'll do it again. Taylor Winchester. As I mentioned, many people call me TW. I have been in business for myself since 2014 while also working with some other organizations, but under the brand W Creative. W is actually, it's pronounced like the letters of my initials, TW, but it's actually spelled out DUBYA. So W Creative, and TW is my moniker as a musician. So I'm a singer-songwriter. I also play in another band based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. But if you want to consume any of our music or my personal music, you can find me at TW on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever it is you consume your tunes these days. The band that I play in is called Alonzo Wesley. I actually play mandolin in that band, and you can find us online as well. Of course, I'll include show links or links in show notes, and if you want to reach out in any ways, you can find all of that contact info. Now, a little bit about myself outside of the music world. I have also worked from a professional standpoint in and around the live music and entertainment industries over the last 10 plus years, and that has led me to 2020, where we're all in the middle of this crazy pandemic known as COVID-19 and coronavirus. And so 2020 has certainly been a little bit different this year. To back up and maybe start from the beginning, a little over 10 years ago, after grad school within the entertainment industry, I actually started working for Live Nation, worked there for a little over five and a half years. And I wore many hats there. Started as what I say is the oldest intern ever, probably at 27. And funny story actually about the interview process there as an intern is I shaved my beard, got real clean cut, put on a suit and tie because I was determined to find a legit gig within the industry of music and live music specifically. So I showed up, and of course the interviewee, Mr. Sean Owens at the time, was wearing like jeans and a t-shirt, and it just goes to show sometimes, you can never be over prepared, you know what I mean? So anyways, I got the gig. I worked as an intern for about 6 months, then picked up a part-time gig as an special events person, helping with the rentals of the venue, and then that led into a full-time being the director of sales for special events, as well as the junior talent buyer and working with the talent team to really book all the concerts and produce the shows. So kind of a wide array of experience within the venue management and operations side of things, and what that afforded me was an opportunity to meet a lot of really cool people, both on the artist and entertainment and creative side of things, but also, working with corporate organizations such as PricewaterhouseCoopers, Wells Fargo, and their event planning team, and some of the upper management and executive teams of those organizations, as well as over into the nonprofit world and producing, 1,000 to 2,000 person events for annual conventions that were coming through town. And then that also rolled into more of the entertainment side of things. Of course, being a music venue, I got to work with bands such as the Foo Fighters and drank a beer with Dave Grohl in the dressing room while before they performed for Rock the Vote back in 2012. I had a computer stolen by somebody out of Drake's camp from backstage, ended up getting it back. It's a long story, but I've had some really, really interesting and cool experiences. And outside of the entertainment side and like the fun storytelling, I've also found a lot of guidance and a lot of nuggets of wisdom through these random interactions and through these stories that have happened and how they really apply to maybe what should be our approach to life and kind of our priority of thinking. So fast forward to 2020, after a long, that was only 5 years, but then the last 5 years I've worked with various organizations producing festivals, concert series, sporting events, all kinds of stuff. And fast forward to 2020, where that leads me now is, well, without a lot of events because of COVID-19 and the coronavirus. So without all those events, without the shows that I typically play every year, it's afforded me a little bit more opportunity to slow down, to quiet down my mind, both from a standpoint of just consumption of information within working and producing and marketing events, but also in a sense of being on the go and on the road all the time. So I don't think I mentioned it yet, but I may have. I am actually recording this from my camper van, so I still am on the go a little bit, but the priorities of those travels have shifted a little bit. Whereas it used to be heavy work related, I'm finding some time to dig a little bit further within, looking for opportunity for more self-growth, for more fulfillment out of my day-to-day life, and really applying some of the time that I spend to seeking purpose and seeking fulfillment, which is what led me to Dharma Digs as a concept. This show is really going to be an opportunity for me to share with you some of those nuggets of wisdom and some of those concepts that I've stumbled upon as I'm researching these topics myself, as well as featured guest interviews with other creative entrepreneurs, creative professionals, maybe even folks that don't create for a profession but really find joy and a sense of purpose through creation as a hobby or a side gig or whatever it may be. So the term Dharma, to go back to the title of the podcast, it's hard for me to explain exactly what it means because technically it doesn't have any direct definition in the English language. So in my studies and kind of researching as I came across this term while I was looking to learn a little bit more, is that Dharma can really mean a sense of purpose, a sense of finding that perfect balance of the maybe the work or the time you spend doing a lot of what you do, tying that in with this kind of cosmic energy of purpose, right? Of why you're actually put on this planet in this life form and this time. And I don't pretend to have the answers to that. Those are the questions that I'm personally seeking as well. And to go back to some of those experiences that I've had and felt a sense of, learning or understanding from interactions with other humans, the purpose of this show is to touch on those, but also to bring those other humans in to be interviewed and to talk about what it is they do, how they find purpose, maybe what some of their routines are, and what their approach to religion or spirituality or all of these greater mythical type conversations that we don't really talk that much about. We're in an election year here in 2020, and I do strongly believe that if this country is going to continue to be the greatest country in the world or one of in the top countries in the world, we're going to really have to shift our way of thinking to be more inclusive and accepting of others, but also try an attempt to understand and an attempt to think a little bit more critically about these conversations that we're avoiding. So the way the show's going to roll out, I'll bring on the guest. We'll talk a little bit about their background, kind of maybe how I've came to get to know them and what they do, what their art form is, or what their creative vibe is. But then we'll also segue into some specific quotes that we bring up in the show that maybe come from other musicians' lyrics or poetry that somebody has read or a business presentation or TED Talk or whatever it may be. It'll be these concepts and conversations of topics that maybe don't get a lot of attention, but how we can dive in and talk about those. And then maybe in those conversations, you as a listener will be able to pull out some guidance for yourself. And I know that as the existing interviews that I've already done for this concept, I'm super stoked to share those with you. And I know they're only going to get better. from a standpoint of just the conversations get deep and talk about life, and it's a lot of fun. So I want to thank you for, again, taking the time out of your day to stop by and tune into this podcast. If you like what you hear after the first couple of episodes, please share with your friends, leave a review on whatever platform it is you're consuming this podcast, and head over to my website if you really like it and want to get like early access. I'm going to be working on some cool things that you can become more of an ongoing supporter and really get involved. If you have ideas, if you have suggested guests, shoot those over to me. I think I mentioned it. My handle on social is @TWCreates or @DharmaDigs. Might be Dharma Digs Podcast. We'll see. But anyways, WCreate is my website. Thank you again for being here today. Look forward to future episodes. Look forward to your engagement, your comments, your feedback. Thank you for being here. Peace, love, and light coming your way. Namaste.